Tell you what, my friends, there are some days when you and I get together and sit down, we look at this ancient document that spans cultures and millennia, and we look at it and we're like, these people are just like us. That is so much fun. Or that is so funny. They laughed at the same kind of stuff all those years ago that we still laugh at now. Or, wow, we really learned something about a different culture. It's just a blast. And this story that we've been in the book of Esther has been a hoot, I think. Like, look, it's got a few parts here and there that if you're going to do a children's book version of it, you probably want to clean it up or pixelate a few things. But for the most part, it's just a very fun, very relatable story where the underdog has to find a way to outwit the person in the position of power, the bully. And it's just that usually in those stories with modern contemporary sensibilities, the bully ends up slipping on a banana peel and falling down and their pants come down a little bit in the lunchroom and everybody's like, ha, 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 ha. The bully looks silly. Your pants came down a little bit. It's kind of funny, and there's a down slide whistle or a sad trombone, and everybody knows the bully got his comeuppance. And then usually in modern sensibilities, the bully's either runs away in shame or the bully's like, wow, I really learned some important lessons here today and I feel terrible about what I did. I'm not going to act like that ever again. And then it's over and everybody learned their lesson. But in Esther, the bully and also the bully's families get killed. So that is going to feel a little bit different for you and me. And rather than ducking it, we're just going to go right at it, because this is one of the advantages, or maybe disadvantages, depending on how you read it, of the way you and I have been doing things with these conversations. We pick a book of the Bible, we go right through it. We don't just hit the parts that are easy or funny or that are going to preach, where everybody's just going to feel great about what's there. We're looking at an ancient document from across the ages, and we're trying to make sense of it and understand what we do with it. And so we get it all. And in the part we're looking at today, we see that this edict, this counter edict, that is a very important detail because Haman definitely struck first. This counter edict is a very violent counter edict. There's not going to be an end to this story where the bullies all come around and they're like, wow, we learned some really important lessons. And that was very embarrassing what happened to me in the lunchroom. I guess now we can all be part of the same gang. Nope. It's worse than that. So here's the edict specifically that we've been talking about for the last few days in Esther 8:8, issued by Mordecai and Esther on behalf of King Xerxes in defense of the Jewish people against the evil order of the evil Haman. It says this: the king's edict granted the Jews in every city the right to assemble and protect themselves, to destroy, kill, and annihilate any armed force of any nationality or province that might attack them. Does anybody have any problem with that at this point? I mean, a little bit here, we have to set aside what we're supposed to think and things that we feel like we're supposed to say. Just objectively, at the deepest level, in a vacuum even, do you have a problem with that? Because I think if I'm to be super honest, I definitely don't have a problem with that. I don't like war. I'm pretty pacifistic in my orientation. I think most modern war in the age of globalism has been a sham. The history of modern warfare post-1900, post-World War I, with only very few exceptions, maybe one big obvious one being World War II, all of that history of warfare is pretty ugly in terms of the amount of dishonesty and nefarious motivation that eventually floats to the surface. So you got to know who you're dealing with here. I try to turn over my cards so that you can take that into account. I don't own the Bible. I don't write this stuff. My read on it is not necessarily just the right read. Just because I bought a microphone and went to school for this a little bit doesn't mean that I know. We're all people. We all bring our stuff and our moment to the text, but doing my very, very, very best to just be objective about this thing. I don't think I have any problem with this counter edict whatsoever. And I certainly have a problem with the original edict that seemed to tie the hands of the Jewish people while liberating their enemies. What are the Jews supposed to do? What did Haman visualize? How did this thing read when it went out? A whole bunch of people are just going to need to stand there and get slaughtered violently, not even with guns and stuff like how it happens now. Hacking death like it was back in the day. The ancient warfare was hideous, grotesquely violent thing. It was not quick. So all these people are just supposed to stand there and take that the whole time it's unfolding. So you add a provision with this new counter edict that says, all right, you get to fight back. Yeah, I got no problem with that. What does fight back mean? Well, there's two schools of thought on this. One school of thought is you try to teach the other person a lesson. There's the shoot them in the kneecap school of thought, and I appreciate the impulse behind that school of thought. It says life is precious. People are made in the image of God. Don't take it cheaply. Don't be someone who yearns for the opportunity for violence to work out whatever your stuff is. I respect that aspect. Strategically, that position, I'm not sure is always entirely shrewd, because generally speaking, if somebody is willing to attack you and try to kill you, it's kind of on. And that's the other school of thought, is meet lethal force with lethal force, or you're basically agreeing to lose. I don't know. I've never been in one of those situations. It's easy to talk a big game and be like, I'd never put up with it. I know what I'd do. I'm a fighter, warrior, protect people. I have no idea what I would do. But mentally, I don't know, if somebody is going full violence on you, it seems like strategically probably the best school of thought is defend yourself. I understand people think about this in different ways. But as I look at this text, there's absolutely nothing up to this point in the edict that I could even really balk at. If somebody's going to get killed, I guess you better fight back. And if it has to be someone, make it the people who are trying to wipe you out and your blood enemies. I don't know. I don't like saying any of these things. Where it gets weird is what happens next. So it says, the king's edict granted the Jews in every city the right to assemble and protect themselves, to destroy, kill, and annihilate any armed force of any nationality or province that might attack them. Okay, pause there one more time. So it doesn't just mean a dude who attacks you. The specific language here says that anybody from any one of those 127 provinces that we keep referencing, anybody who puts together a militia, some sort of genocidal strike force, some sort of ancient world brown shirts who are going to go around and inflict this violence, anything like that, you can light up that whole regiment, light up that whole group, fight back, kill, annihilate, destroy. Not my language, is what's in the text. So it's not just if you see someone trying to kill a Jew, you can defend yourself, or if you are a Jew, you can defend yourself against them. It is corporate, in that there are apparently going to be groups who are going to attack Jews, even maybe with government backing, and you're allowed to fight back against them also with government backing. Again, all makes sense, whether you're talking about an individual, an armed force, a nationality, a province, whatever. So kill and annihilate any armed force of any nationality or province that might attack them and their women and children, and to plunder the property of their enemies. And that's just where it's tough. If you're reading the Bible and your first goal in understanding the text is to apply it, you really run into a problem with that interpretive framework when you get to passages like this. There's so much difference historically, theologically, technologically, socially, in terms of what we're looking at here versus even the ground rules 500 years later, after Jesus comes and does his thing, and according to the language of Matthew 5:17 in the Sermon on the Mount, fulfills the law and the prophets. Jesus, in that same Sermon on the Mount, has all of those "you've heard it said, but I tell you that" statements. And there's the law of non-retribution and loving your enemies and all of that stuff. And Christians continue to wrestle with that. I mean, what do you do? If somebody wants to kill your kid, do you stop them? Do you use violence to stop them? I'm of a mind to say, I think so. I don't think what Jesus is saying there extends all the way out to complete and total pacifism in that regard, but some people look at it and that's what they make of it. So a lot's different in this moment in time, way back here in Persia, than it is now. Still, women and children are women and children, man. And plunder is plunder, and kill, annihilate, and destroy is still kill, annihilate, and destroy. Now, look, there's some people who I've read over the years who look at this passage and they're like, well, if you look at it, the women and children thing, that is only in reference to if like a woman or a child is also a part of the attack, you can defend yourself against them. But I'm looking around the rest of the Old Testament at the whole history of the relationship here between the Amalekites, the Agagites, the people from whom Haman is descended, and the Jewish people. And I don't know. This looks like it is more of this score is finally going to get settled, and either the Jewish people are going to be wiped from the face of the earth, or this enemy group, the one who has had their sights set on the Jews from the beginning, is going to get wiped from the face of the earth. It's hard for me to even say phrases like that, but the truth of the matter is, in my opinion, as much as I would like to take that off-ramp that some modern scholars take in terms of what you do with this, rather I think what I'm seeing here is that the edict assumes that everybody who wants to commit genocide against the Jews is about to turn over their cards. You're about to know who they are. And when you know who they are, this is the time. It wouldn't make sense to do this a month from now or 3 months earlier. There is a day. They picked the day of reckoning, and it would seem that Mordecai and Esther's instruction, we get no indication whether or not this instruction is how God would have worded it here. He's not on screen. He's not mentioned in this book. This is Mordecai's creation of this language. But it looks like what Mordecai and Esther are saying is they're about to show you their true colors on this day. And the way this is scheduled out looked horrible, but it's actually going to be a blessing in disguise, because you're going to know everyone who is your peaceable neighbor from everyone who is leaping at the opportunity to kill you and destroy and annihilate all of the Jewish people. And when you see them and they tell you who they are, take them seriously. Listen to them. They have revealed what they want to do and who they are. You can't coexist. It's going to be one or the other. Go win. You have the blessing of the crown to do so. And I think that's how the ancient audience would have read this. They would have felt like this is a fight we can win. We're just not allowed to fight back. We just have to take it. Well, what does the edict do? It effectively says, yeah, go ahead and fight back. Also, fight back in a targeted way, because the previous edict will reveal to you who your actual enemies are, and that is who you're to target, and that is who you are to defeat. Does any of that solve the modern massive level of discomfort with the women and children thing? No, not yet. But we're going to work that through and game it out more. This is not a one conversation kind of topic. And really everything from here to the end of the book is a multiple conversation kind of topic. I understand that because of the nature of this medium and the time constraints on it, we're going to leave it in a little bit of an uncomfortable place until we get back to our conversation next time around. But, well, the world sometimes is an uncomfortable place. So that's just where we're going to need to be. All right, I'm Matt. This is the 10-Minute Bible Hour podcast. Let's do this again soon.